Welcome. Thank you again for tuning in to Data4God. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of being able to talk to someone who I've gotten a chance to know over the years, working at the ASA and working with the ASA, and that is Jason Wilson. Jason, thank you so much for coming out and talking with me today.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Sure thing, sure thing. So, let me give a little background on Jason. Jason Wilson is the chair of the Math and Computer Science Department at Biola University and the founding director of Biola's Quantitative Consulting Center. In 1996, he had an encounter with God that revealed his life's calling, which includes assisting in removing the blinders from the eyes of the American church in order that she more ably fulfills her mission. Jason loves spending time with God and his wife and daughters, discipling students. I almost said disciplining students. That wouldn't be right. Discipling students, which includes teaching, and doing statistical consulting. Jason's research interests include baseball statistics, which we'll have to talk afterwards because my Yankees are not doing good this year. It's not going well. Statistical apologetics, mathematics, faith integration, and high-dimensional genomics data. So again, thank you so much, Jason, for joining.
Thank you.
So let's just jump right in. Let's start off by helping the audience get to know sort of the other side of Jason. You mentioned you had an encounter with God that sort of revealed your life's calling. Tell me a little bit about your journey of faith.
Yeah, so my parents were divorced when I was about 5 years old. So I grew up with a broken family background. And in high school, I really got caught up into pornography, and I was trying to navigate the broken family, and my mom became a believer in the divorce, took me and my sister to church.
Okay.
But then I get the secular humanist view at public school, and so home wasn't the safe place to sort things out. I wanted to do that in college. By the grace of God, he brought me to Biola University, where my freshman year, God really got a hold of me and transformed my life. Was able to completely get off of the pornography. Awesome. And just really grow in my character. And so that was 92, 93. And 96, I had this powerful encounter where I had this vision, and he revealed my life's calling to me. And I chucked my math major and went straight into theology and biblical studies.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't until about 1999 that he said, I appreciate the zeal, but I want you to go back into math. And so I eventually wound up getting a PhD in statistics from the University of California, Riverside in 2008. And through an interesting turn of events, I wound up coming back to Biola University to teach, where I've been a professor there ever since.
Wow, so it's all come back full circle. That's awesome to hear. That's a great story.
It has. Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
I bet.
God is good.
All right, so now some people seem surprised when I tell them that I'm a Christian and data scientist / sort of statistics professor. Do you have experiences like that, sort of being a data person but also a Christian, that people may be surprised by that?
Yeah, it varies from the people. One time I was at the American Statistical Association's joint statistics meetings, and I was running the booth for the International Christian Statisticians. And a guy came up, and he was looking at this sign. It said Christian Statisticians. And he said, what is this? And I said, oh. And so I explained that we're Christians who are statisticians. And he said, what relevance is there? Like, what does that mean? And then he just couldn't wrap his mind around that there would be any difference. And so it gave me an opportunity to explain the reality of our faith in Christ and the effect that it has on our whole life, including statistics. And probably talked to that guy for like 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. See, that's awesome. Yeah, no, we've had a lot of great times, I think, at the JSM meetings, the Joint Statistical meetings, just interacting with people, because I think it's something, like you said, they don't always understand. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to talk to people about it. Which sort of leads me into my next question. How do you connect faith to data science and statistics in general? I mean, you could probably recount the whole 45-minute conversation that you had with that gentleman, but you break it down for us, briefly. How do you connect your faith to data and statistics?
So probably the main theme verse that I have for this and that I'll bring out in my classes is Romans 1:20. And it says, since the creation of the world, God's invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen through what has been made, so that they are without excuse. And so here we have something that's invisible, that originates in God, that points back to him. And so that grounds all of my mathematics, all of my statistics. And so I pick up on that as a theme in my classes. Going a little bit more specific into the area of statistics, I've honed this over the years, but I've become increasingly convinced of the importance for explicitly anchoring statistics as a truth-based discipline. So statistics is the discipline that seeks to discover the truth about the world quantitatively. In our culture today, we're trying to sever from truth and just have a narrative.
Yeah.
And so statistics is one way that we link into the reality of the world. And ultimately God created the world. And so we can learn more about him through what we're learning about the world. And I believe statistics is one avenue to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I love that Bible verse and how you connect that to sort of your career. I almost think I saw a T-shirt one time where someone said, I trust God, everyone else bring data. And it sort of reminds me a little bit of that, right? Where it's like, what? God puts all these things there for us sort of as little things for us to discover and learn more and more about him. I have a friend who's a PhD in nuclear physics, and he said, diving deep down into the molecules of the world, how could I not be a believer? And so I think, again, he puts all these things, he being God, puts all these things there for us to be able to find and just continue reminder of how he's in control. So I absolutely love how you sort of integrate that. That's perfect.
Amen.
So there are a lot of great Christian organizations and churches out there, but God calls us to represent him wherever we are. So how do you connect your faith now to your career?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what comes to mind is head, heart, and hands. And so head, intellectually, I have the privilege of teaching at Biola University, and we're all about the integration of faith and learning. So those come together, and I get to just explicitly bring out some of these kinds of themes in my classes. I've published several papers that explain some of these things, and perhaps the most explicit place is one of the Bible classes that our students have to take is an integration seminar.
Okay.
And an integration seminar is team taught by a Bible prof and a major prof. And so I've designed a class called God and Math.
Nice.
Where we do that very thing. So that's probably the head part. As far as the heart part, I had mentioned God revealed my calling in 1996. And so I love to just be involved in discipling students. My wife and I have students over to our home, and we can just be off topic and really getting into what's going on in their lives. And helping them to encounter God more deeply, work out their own issues, and grow in Him. And so that's probably one kind of key heart dimension. As far as hands go, I mentioned the International Christian Statisticians,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like to be active and involved in there. Um, so that's an area that I'm personally trying to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a Biola professor,
Mm-hmm.
my circle is a lot of Christians. So
Yeah.
my challenge is to get outside the bubble.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So one, it touches back to that issue of truth, though,
Mm.
because in the cultural moment that we're in, I think the issue of truth is really on the line.
Yeah.
We have this polarization that's due to hyper data analysis of some of
Yeah.
these tech companies like Google that is doing this surveillance of all of our stuff. And they're using massive statistics,
Yeah.
but there's an unethical dimension that's going on with it.
Yes.
And so I think there's a role for our work to come in there.
Mm.
And I could talk on and on about that. But so there's lots and lots of stuff in this area.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to have to audit that God and math class. That is intriguing. I want to know more about that. So after the interview, we're talking
So
about
fun.
that.
So fun.
Awesome. So have you had any struggles in your career due to your faith? And then maybe flip side of that, what are some great blessings that you've had in your career due to your faith?
Yeah. So one struggle that I had earlier on was looking at my secular peers who don't go to church and aren't as in some ways concerned about their families and spending generous amounts of time with them and and nurturing that development, and they're just putting everything they've got onto the career and getting papers published and and moving up the ranks. And I'm just looking at that just going, wow, like I'm at a disadvantage here, God, because of some of my faith commitments, which and he really challenged me on that. So I'm having kind of jealousy issues and insecurity issues.
Yeah.
And he's like, if I am who you say you believe that I am, uh, should you not actually have a greater thing coming forth? And then he took me on a journey of showing me how he actually gives me favor in places, and he'll give divine appointments and all these just supernatural grace and strength for things, all these things that are augmenting me and boosting me up in ways that I hadn't really been aware of. And you roll forward multiple years and keep looking, it's like, wow, you're seeing problems arising in some of those people that you were jealous of, and fruit on your side, and it's like, wow, I didn't see all that, but by faith I entered into something that has really humbled me and blown me away. So that's been one kind of challenge that I've faced, and I feel like he's given me some overcoming.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. It's hard to always remember that God sees beyond time, right? Like, so when he sits there and says, "I've given you all these things," we may not have fully experienced all that he has given us yet, but he has. It's already been planned out. It's already there. He's already seen it. And that's a hard thing for us to grasp sometimes because we are bound by time. We see all of these other secular things going on, being like, but what about this and that? He's like, just trust me. It's almost, I almost equate it to being a father, right? I mean, you've got daughters. It's one of those things where it's like, at times when they're young kids, you almost got to be like, you just got to trust me. I know better on this regard. It'll be okay.
That's right. And I was just, that's my best metaphor for that. But in this context, we could also say a professor
True.
with a student. And,
Yeah.
they're like stuck at a certain spot or something. And you're like, okay, look, I know where you're at. I know where you've been.
Yeah.
I know what's on the other side of this obstacle. And this is the path. So like, and these both point to our relationship with God. So it's
Awesome.
What a world.
Yes, very much so. Okay, so that was a little bit about your struggle. What was one big blessing you've had in your career due to your faith? Or maybe that is sort of tied in with it, where it's like, the blessings have come and sort of it helped you through the struggle.
Yeah, I could certainly say that. There's many, many things. One that really stands out, just speaking career direct, I'm teaching at Biola University.
Yeah.
And so, my community here is phenomenal. My students are amazing. Just the commonality that we have in the Lord, it's a level playing field.
That's awesome.
Whereas, when I've been in secular environments teaching, there's a bit of walking on eggshells and like, ooh, you got to be, concerned if you're going to offend somebody. And, I don't have any of that kind of stuff. Students are coming here because they want to grow in their faith. And so we open our classes with prayer, and we just have that common basis, building up to things like the God and math class.
Yeah.
And so just that totality of the environment is just so rich and a wonderful place to be.
Oh, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So let's finish off the interview, Jason. What are some things we can pray about for you?
Wow. The biggest thing on my heart right now, I just graduated my youngest daughter from high school.
Congratulations.
And so thank you very much. And over the last, I don't know, maybe year and a half or so, she's just been reaching that maturity point. And then her sister is 18 months older than her, and she's been in the house since the quarantine.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Having to come back home from college. And so we're at that point where my daughters are transitioning into an adult relationship. And then my wife homeschooled them.
Okay.
And so, so that's raising, I think there's that impending sense of loss in her heart. And that impacts my relationship with her and with them. And so corporately, we're going through this transition. And we've gotten some spiritual breakthroughs, I think, but there's more to go. And we want to really enter into a healthy adult interacting relationship.
Yeah, I'll say any kind of transition stage in life, I can imagine, is a tough one, because it's something where you've built a great rapport of being a dad for a while now, right? It's like, hey, I got this dad thing pretty much good right now, and now I have to change it all again? It took me this long to get it. It's Exactly. Well, awesome. Jason, thank you so much for coming out today. It's been an absolute pleasure getting a chance to talk to you about sort of the connections of your faith with careers, with data science. It's an absolute blessing to be able to talk with you. Thank you again.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And for all those that are listening, God bless you.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, much like Jason said, thank you so much for everyone who's watching this. Take care and God bless.